Hello everyone, got a quick little update regarding Heroes and Generals. There are new weapons coming out, which is exciting. I'll go into that detail shortly, as well as a new map that they are currently working on, and I'm interested to see what that's going to be. The next topic I wanted to talk about is the hot debate going on in the game, and that is whether or not the Germans are OP when compared to the Americans. I'll weigh in on that and give a few thoughts. I also wanted to take a minute and talk about the skirmish mode and why I think some serious changes need to be made to it. Alright, so let's get back into these weapons. First, for the American side, we have one that I'm particularly excited for, and that's the Browning Automatic Rifle, or BAR. Now, it's technically classed as a light machine gun, but it really fits somewhere in between the M1 Garand and belt-fed 30 cal. The weapon combines the firepower of a light machine gun with the maneuverability of a rifle. The BAR uses a 20-round box magazine and fires the same 30 cal bullet as the M1 Garand and Browning 30 caliber machine gun. Next, it looks like you're going to be able to use the 1903 Springfield without a scope. This will give the basic infantry a weapon with the same stopping power as the Kar 98 that the Germans use. It'll give the American infantry players the option to use a rifle with a bit more stopping power than the M1 Garand. Unfortunately, those will be the only two new weapons for the American side. As for the Germans, their infantry will be getting the Gewehr 43. It's a semi-automatic rifle with a 10-round magazine and fires a 7.92 by 57mm Mauser cartridge. This allows the German infantry to select a weapon with comparable firepower to that of the M1 Garand. This weapon has been one of my favorites in previous World War II shooters, so I'm really excited to see it in the game. The second weapon that the Germans will be getting is the FG-42. This is a light machine gun that is very similar to the BAR. It also has a 20-round magazine and fires the same 7.92 Mauser round. Like the BAR, it'll provide German infantry with a weapon that has more firepower than the Gewehr, but is more maneuverable than the MG42. Finally, the Germans will be getting the Panzerschreck. It's an anti-tank rocket launcher similar to the Americans' bazooka. My best guess is that this will replace the Panzerfaust as a default weapon for the anti-tank infantry class. Now, I've also read that they're working on a new map. Now, there's not a lot of information out about it other than it's going to contain some prop forces. As you see up there is a rough render. I'm really excited to see what they come up with. Leave some comments below on maybe the map type that you'd like to see them come out with next. Okay, so now I want to talk about whether or not the Germans are OP when compared to the Americans. I keep reading and seeing in the game chat that people think the Germans outclass the Americans in every way. When it comes to the infantry, I don't necessarily agree with this point of view. I think the weapons are pretty balanced, other than the MG42, which is far and above better than the 1919 30 caliber machine gun that the Americans have. The Kar 98 compared to the M1, the Kar 98 is great at long range and has good stopping power, while the M1 Garand excels at medium to close range and outshoots the Kar 98. The pistols seem to be pretty dead even, although the 1911 should probably be more powerful than the C96. As far as sniper rifles are concerned, they're both pretty much identical, although the M1903 seems to have a higher bullet velocity, making it easier to shoot targets that are on the move, giving a slight edge to the Americans. There also doesn't really seem to be an imbalance between the German MP40 and the US Thompson submachine gun. The only real imbalance seems to be with the light machine guns. The MG42 does severely outclass the 1919 in certain ways. Although both weapons are arguably over-accurate when standing and shooting, the MG42's extreme rate of fire and easy sight picture allows German machine gunners to run around with the weapon as if it were a submachine gun, while the slow rate of fire and awkward sight picture of the Browning 1919 prevents US players from doing the same. Ultimately, in my opinion, both these weapons need to be much harder to use while standing in an unstable firing positions. In real life, these weapons were heavy and cumbersome to carry around, and took several minutes to set up before they were able to be used. Perhaps implementing a Battlefield 3 style bipod mechanic could help to balance out the machine guns. As far as air power is concerned, I haven't spent enough time flying to make a comment either way, although my initial reaction doesn't seem that either class is overpowered. I think that most of the imbalance complaints come down to the armor. The German tanks severely outclass the American ones. They have more armor and higher powered main cannons. The German Tiger can take out any US tank in one shot, while the Panzer can take out a Stuart or Hellcat in as little as 2. The heaviest available American tank is the Sherman, which is probably most evenly matched with the German medium tank, the Panzer. I actually do not have a problem with this, because in World War II the German tanks severely outclassed pretty much everything that they went up against, especially the American armor. The thin armor and underpowered main cannons meant that they rarely won a head-on-head encounter with a German tank. However, because of their armor, the German tanks were slower and less maneuverable. Because of this, the Americans were able to realize that they had to outflank and outmaneuver the Germans with their lighter, faster tanks. So I believe that the best way to balance the tank classes is to not make the American tanks more powerful, but perhaps make them a little bit more faster, especially the light tanks. This would give the Americans more of an advantage in open ground fights, while the Germans would still have the advantage in closer quarters combat with their tanks. Okay, so the final thing that I want to talk about is the skirmish game mode. It's a Battlefield 3 style conquest game type in which each team has to capture and control 3 capture points throughout the map. Now my biggest problem with this game mode is spawn camping, which is actually what you see me doing here. Now I'm not doing it because I'm a killmonger, but it's a valid tactic and really the main tactic we have to use if you want to win the game. Because if you're not spawn camping the enemy, they're spawn camping you. This is such a big problem because unlike Battlefield 3, you can't spawn on squad mates or held capture points. You can only spawn on your deployment. It also makes it incredibly easy to snipe out tankers as they spawn in because you spawn outside of the tank. As you see here, I've shot out the tank commander and I've gotten in a German Tiger tank and I'm just wreaking havoc on their spawn. I've been trying to think of ways to help alleviate this problem. Perhaps allowing teams to spawn on their held capture points could help, as well as maybe moving the spawn locations a bit closer to the edges of the map and making them off limits to enemy players, similar to the way that Battlefield 3 does. Now, I don't know if I'm the only one who necessarily has these issues with the game, but definitely leave some comments and let me know your thoughts on the game so far and what you think could help to balance and improve the gameplay. I mean, overall this game has been just a ton of fun for me to play. I'm really excited to see it progress and get better. The developers have made it very clear that they're open to the feedback and they welcome it on the forums. So if you're having issues with the game, you have some ideas that you think could help improve the gameplay, get involved, get on the community page and start posting in the forums and reading what other people's thoughts are. That's the best way to help improve the game. As I said earlier, I really enjoy this game so far, and I started posting videos on my channel to hopefully raise some awareness to those who haven't heard of it yet. It's worth trying out. Like I said, it's free, and I really do appreciate all the likes and all the subs and all the comments and engagement I get on my videos. Even though it's not much, it's slowly helping me to build my channel, and I really appreciate it. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.